We're just about to start the program. My name is Mary Lou McPhedran, and I'm on the board of directors of Voice of Women for Peace in Canada. I want to welcome everybody here. It looks like we've got maybe a couple of seats towards the front here. Please feel welcome to come closer up for a spot. I'd like to introduce to you the co-chair of Voice of Women Canada, Janice Alton, who will give a very brief introduction. Then we will move to the panel. Today this is an interactive dialogue. The first hour will be our panel presentations, and then we have dedicated open discussion time beginning at noon today. So, and I promise you, as the moderator, that you will have that open discussion time. Janice?
Well, good afternoon, and thank you for finding us. We had this challenge of the changed time, so we're very grateful that it didn't keep you away. And also, I know we have some competition from outside. I don't know how many of you have strong Irish blood, but I've never seen that St. Patrick's Day parade, but it's going on, and evidently it's really something. So, Shelley, back to you. She's got Irish blood, too. I will introduce myself. As Mary Lou has said, I'm co-chair of Canadian Voice of Women for Peace, and I've been connected with the organization a long time, since the mid-70s. But we are an organization that is quite old. We were founded more than half a century ago. We were founded in 1960. We're a national organization, and we have had UN affiliation for a long time, since the late 70s. And we have been following the work of the Commission on the Status of Women since the 90s. Well, 1990, when we went to a meeting held in Vienna, and there were very, very few NGOs there. I think maybe half a dozen, and our group. So things have changed. Our work is, in a nutshell, about these things, and it has been right from the beginning. We are very much about disarmament. We want a demilitarized security system. And part of that, of course, is saying no to war. And the equal part to that is that we really want women's voices to be heard in that kind of push. So we talk about moving women's voices, as I'm sure each of you do, from the margins to the center of decision-making at all levels, and in our instance related to decisions about peace and security. And on that line, today we have on the front table here a petition that we have brought to this CSW, and we invite you to have a look at it and sign it. And it's all about just what I've said. It's about delegitimizing security and saying no to war. And we're going to give this into the CSW Bureau to, Wednesday. We say as our bottom line, without peace, there will be no development. And these MDGs have, those of you who have been following it closely know that they're not much met. Another bit of our work is promoting the culture of peace. UNESCO gave us that wonderful phrase in the 90s, and I would say that encapsulates a lot of the work that we do. And one way that we try to promote a culture of peace is through promoting peace education. So that brings us right up to our panel this morning. We're going to tell you this morning something about how we've most recently approached that topic of promoting peace education. And among the panelists, we've got a wonderful couple of peace educators who were even, in Betty's instance, a teacher of teachers, promoting the concept of peace education. So I introduce to you today. That's okay. Okay. Our topic for today is building young women's political empowerment and an intergenerational dialogue. And I will turn it back to our moderator, Mary Lou McPhedran, and she will give you more detail about the panelists. So again, our very hearty welcome.
Thank you so much, Janice. I'm also here as the director of the International Women's Rights Institute at the University of Winnipeg Global College, and want to very much welcome to the dialogue. As you can see, it has been framed as an intergenerational dialogue. And we are very pleased to be co-sponsoring with the International Institute for Peace Education. And we have Betty Reardon with us today as part of our dialogue. And also the Hague Appeal for Peace. And Cora Weiss is with us, with Janice and many others in the room who have been long-time leaders in peace and peace education. And then we have amazing younger women who are taking initiative in many different ways across Canada, and you'll hear one example of a growing international use of this model of what we call the peace camps. And so the way that we have the panel set up is that the first hour will consist of very short, concise presentations about the different usages of the peace camp idea. From the youth leaders themselves. Then we'll invite Betty and Cora to respond, any observations or questions you want to put to the youth leaders. And then they in turn will have a chance to interact with you, and then we will open it up. After the first hour, we will open up to everybody in the audience. And as each person presents, I will make the introduction so you actually know who it is that is speaking to you. So let me begin from Winnipeg, Manitoba, which is in the center of Canada, the Midwest of Canada. I'd like to welcome Jana Barkman and Jasmine Papadopoulos to give their presentation.
Be a mighty queen, so all you men beware. Well, a real queen wouldn't be concerned about her body hair. We're gonna be the main event, like the men were before. I'm brushing up, I'm staying proud, I'm working on my roar.
I'm screaming loud. I'm yelling equal. You better vote. You have the chance. We have the right to make it better. We'll be the ones you won't forget. These song lyrics were created at a half-day workshop, which took place during an afternoon at a Girl Guides camp in our city of Winnipeg, with 9 girls aged 13 to 16. The topic of the session was culture jamming, taking existing aspects of culture, often those that we might find to be problematic or that contribute to gender-based violence and discrimination, and changing them to instead be a positive contribution to society. These song lyrics are altered from pop culture to challenge the status quo. The first is from The Lion King, making it instead to be about a queen, and the second is a current pop hit about bar culture, transforming it to be a call to women's political engagement.
Experiences such as these could be transformational for young people. Yes, they are just changing lyrics to a song, but there is so much significance in completely uprooting an aspect of our everyday lives, such as pop culture, and transforming it to align with our own values. Our project that Jasmine and I have been working on developed 8 themed modules around women, peace, and activism, and it's titled A Toolkit for Young Feminists to Promote a Culture of Peace. Our methodology uses tangible experiences, such as the transformation of popular culture, and encourages young women to connect their learnings into other aspects of their lives. Along with this experiential component, the modules also teach about prominent global leaders in feminism and peace activism. It gives young women the tools to be leaders in advocating for peace in areas that they're interested in. Promoting leadership skills in peace and feminism also includes skills in conflict resolution, in social media usage, in interpersonal communication, teamwork, critical thinking, and identifying opportunities for change. Through the culture of peace framework which we use, which fosters knowledge, skills, and attitude, these learning modules will allow women to do just that.
So, in Winnipeg, our camp is more of an extended educational curriculum offering 2-hour sessions on various topics surrounding women's empowerment. We've received a grant from Unifor to help fund the project, and we've been working for the Voice of Women for Peace and the Girl Guides of Manitoba because they've already have the organizational capacity and links to youth to help run the programming. Our hope is to encourage young women and girls to develop a sense of ownership over their skills in feminism and peace building, which are personal processes accessible to almost anyone at any age. We want people to know that it is not too sophisticated for young women and girls to exercise skills like effective communication, self-expression, and critical intake of culture. By consulting with young women before releasing the official programming, we've hoped to better reflect the interests and needs of diverse participants. So far, we've had 2 consultation days, including between 4 to 10 girls aged 14 to 17 with 1 or 2 adult leaders, and then 1 pilot session with the 9 girls and adult leader who wrote those song lyrics that we introduced.
So the modules are designed sort of a la carte. This means that within each themed module, there are practical capacity building skills that are provided for participants so that they can pick and choose what they like to do based on their interests. They can choose from 8 of the modules, and we also have an introductory and conclusive session. Through the Girl Guides partnership, which has been a really incredible partnership, if they complete a certain amount of these modules, they're able to receive a peace badge in the end. So within each of the theme modules, there is an introduction to the topic. There's several warm-up activities which promote critical thinking and allow the young participants to think before learning or engaging too much with the information. And then there's a case study of 1 or 3 current leaders and the methods that they've used in their peace activism. We have 1 large creative activity, and then at the end there's a set of debrief questions. So some of the activities that we have included, which are reflected in our poster, are theater games. There's art, such as collage making or quilt making. We have trivia games, storytelling as self-reflection. There's role-play games to experience how violence may affect people differently. We have the making of pins and stickers and magnets. There's a play reading on Security Council Resolution 1325 to understand the role of the international community. And we also have photography and the use of photography in effective social media.
Moving forwards towards implementation and to broaden participation beyond Girl Guides, we have a few events scheduled in the upcoming months. The first will be a youth summit in Winnipeg on May 2nd, for which we have invited 50 youth, half from schools and half from youth organizations in the city to encourage diversity, who are specifically interested in building their capacities as peace builders and working towards gender equality. During this full-day event, they'll participate in activities and discussions drawn from the modules. At the same time, we hope to offer a training in conflict resolution and background to feminist and peace activism for their teachers and youth leaders so that they can be effective models and help encourage the use of these skills for the youth themselves. Secondly, also in May, there will be a similar facilitator training for Girl Guides leaders to ensure their comfort and ability in implementing the programming.
So we see these modules as fitting in really well in the proposed goal of the NGO CSW Global Campaign, which is to strengthen the capacity and leadership in communication and social media to reach out to the next generation. Our modules are completed, and they will be launched on our website in May, and we do have more information up here if you're interested at the end. They will also be available in the public domain, and you are welcome to use them and take them back to your own organizations. We believe that with the strong use of social media such as Facebook or the use of hashtags, our hope is to create a network of young feminists and peacemakers to share their experiences, their responses, and their methods to peace. Thank you.
Right on time. Thank you so much, Jana and Jasmine. That's great. We did a preparatory meeting yesterday and agreed that we were all going to stick to our timelines to ensure that we would be able to have our open dialogue with those of you who are joining us here today. Let me now introduce to you Jennifer Elms from the east coast of Canada, Newfoundland, who is a participant in the Peace Camp in Nova Scotia and is in the process of using this model in future ways as well. Jennifer?
Thank you very much, Mary Lou. I have my timer here, so I'm going to turn that on now. So thank you, everybody. I'm so honored to speak here today, and I'm going to jump right to it. So my background is I'm from Newfoundland, Canada, which is a tiny little island on the east coast of Canada. I've traveled extensively working with women who've been affected by violence and looking at ways that we can implement strategies to really raise the voices of women and see how we can make an impact. So how did I become involved in VOW? Well, I received an email invitation about this wonderful conference in Nova Scotia, in Pugwash, Nova Scotia, which I had never heard of before in my life. And I read the description and I just felt so compelled that I had to become involved. And I made a connection. They offered me even a grant to come, and lo and behold, a couple months later, there I was. I cannot even begin to describe the experience that I had in Pugwash, but let me tell you, it was life-changing. It was transformational. I have always recognized that I was a feminist, but being surrounded by women who have been in this field for decades brought a whole new level of empowerment. I was actually staying at Thinker's Lodge, which is a crucial location in Pugwash, as it was the location of the Conference on Science and World Affairs in 1957 that actually led to a Nobel Peace Prize in '95 by Joseph Rotblat. I hope I pronounced that right. So being in that location and being in the presence of the energy that really circulated there, that was powerful in itself. The women led presentations every day. It was jam-packed. We were there for 3 days. We hit the ground running. We learned about issues that I admit was ignorant about. Nuclear disarmament. We looked at some of the campaigns that these women had done in the 70s, the Shadow Project in response to the bombings of Hiroshima. All of these stories, and I can't really emphasize enough the stories, really made an impact. And of course, talking about Resolution 1325 and all those sorts of things, in addition to drum circles, sing-alongs, and a collage, everything that we did really embodied peace. And that was what carried with us. And it just gave us a chance to really talk about our experience and what we thought was the importance of the camp. And why is it important? Well, as I said before, it embodies everything about peace that we need to really experience and then carry with us so that we can make an impact. It integrated education. It created a safe space for us to really voice our opinions. It allowed elements of leadership that we gained in practicing sharing our stories and our own experiences and recognizing that we are the experts in our own experience, and therefore we have a story to tell. And even though we're young, we can participate and we should participate. There's also the sense of mobilization. So each one of us was tasked with returning home to our regions, and all of the representatives came from 4 different regions in Atlantic Canada. And so we went back. I organized an International Day of Peace, and the other women also did other ones. As I clue up, I do want to tell a little bit of a story. While we were at the camp, at the end of it, we had a really nice networking meeting with all of the community members who had come together. Another who is here in the audience, she actually presented us each as we left with a seedling. And I have that plant, and it's really emotional because you really gain a family connection to all of these people.